Have you ever wondered where the world is going? Inflation is over 10%. Some prices or some product has gone up over 50%. So it's ridiculously expensive to meet our lifestyles at the moment because things are going very, very expensive. Things are going very, very crazy. And recently, petrol, the actual petrol you pay to fill your tank is basically, in average, has gone up over £100. Imagine that for a minute. £100 to fill your tank. Imagine if your job is to drive around. Imagine if you're a social worker, or if you're a doctor, or if you're a key worker. That is a massive increase in your expenses. Or, for example, if you have a disabled son that you'd have to drive from point A to point B, it's a massive cost and it's a massive hit. And inflation is going to continue to rise, increase drastically, right? Again, it's beyond your control. What we could do basically is to mitigate it to ensure we're not being impacted that much. So again, in this video, I'm going to share how or where to invest to overcome the high rise inflation. Because where we're going right now, if you're not investing, if you're not having additional passive income, you will not survive. Literally, you'll go bankrupt or you end up going back to the relying on the state. So I'm going to be sharing with you exactly what you need to do to overcome inflation, especially if you're already a property investor or if you're just about to start your property investment journey, or even if you already started and you don't really know what to do, how to overcome inflation. So let's talk about inflation first. What is inflation? Inflation is the cost of goods, basically. The price of the cost, the price you pay for a specific item, right? That is the price, and then whatever increases that goes beyond it is what we call inflation. So you used to buy a Snickers for about probably 50 pence, and that Snickers by now would have worth about 80 or 90 pence. So that increase from 50 to 80 is what we call inflation, because the inflation has caused that same thing you used to buy to be more expensive. Again, if you're interested in learning a lot more about inflation, I did a specific video about inflation and how it impacts the property market. If you're interested, click on the link above me here to watch that video. Again, that video would explain to you what inflation is and how it would impact the property market. So I've been into the property game for about 7 or 8 years now. So basically, I've bought and sold so many properties. I've bought and sold properties worth over 50 to 100 million. So I know exactly how much or how inflation would impact the property market, and I am a landlord myself, and I've bought and sold so many properties, and started my property investment journey from zero to building a multi-million pound property investment portfolio. So I know exactly what I'm talking about. So again, I hope you will listen until the end so you can learn how you could overcome inflation for your investment properties, or if you're about to start your investment, how you could overcome inflation for your potential deals. Right, let's get to it. If you want to overcome inflation, the first thing we want to do, if you haven't started investing in property, or you've already started, is basically to continue investing in properties. Continue buying properties, continue investing in property, or start buying properties if not already started. And why? Property is an asset, right? It's a solid asset. It's there for lifetime, okay? Once you've bought that property, wherever that property is there for lifetime. You can buy it, you can hold on to that property, you can pass it on to your children, and your children can pass it on to their children, and so on and so forth. So again, it's an asset, okay? That's one of the benefits. You can literally walk past the property, you can drive past the property, you can visit the property, you can actually view the property, you can hug the property, you can even kiss the property, because it's actually there, it's a solid asset. Nobody's taking it away from you, right? Something silly is not going to happen online or with businesses that will impact your property directly, right? And what happens during inflation? When inflation increases, guess what? Your property price increases as well. Your rent increases as well. So again, that's another benefit you can get from investing in property. But then let's now drill down further to understand why I've been banging on to invest in property. Let's talk about the cash benefit. If you buy a property, right, you rent that property, right? Whether you're actively involved or not, you make cash flow from that property. What do I mean by cash flow? is basically getting money for investing in that property. Suppose you bought a property again for £100,000. You get to put down £25,000 and the bank lends you £75,000. You buy that property, you rent that property out for about maybe £600 or £650, and then you pay your interest and all the expenses. That property may generate you anywhere from £250 to about £400 net profit. Again, that is the cash flow you get. That is the benefit you get from owning a property that you're renting out. That's just that, okay? The second benefit you get also is what we call capital appreciation. If you remember just now, I said to you basically capital appreciation. So basically when you buy a property, right, if inflation goes up, your property price goes up accordingly. Okay, when your property price goes up, guess what? You're literally having a cushion. What we call that cushion is that cushion is equity basically. So if you bought that property £100,000 last year and inflation went up and then the property price goes up say by about 10% or so, that property, that same £100,000 property is now worth £110,000. It doesn't just worth £110,000. If you'd been renting that property for $650 last year, and again your rent would have gone up, and again you may be renting that property now for £675. Again, these are the benefits you get from owning a rental property in the UK. You'll make cash flow. You'll make cash flow from the property, meaning you would make profit by getting passive income every single month without getting involved. And also, you've got the capital appreciation, right? Suppose you rent that property and you're making about £300 a month. You're making roughly about £6,000 a year, plus £10,000, that's £16,000. You're only short of £10,000 to go and buy another property. Again, these are the benefits you get from massive inflation if you were to invest in property. Suppose inflation happens, people cannot afford to pay for the houses. Again, guess what? The government will provide them subsidies to pay you your rent. Something like this happened during COVID where people were struggling to pay their rent. What the government did basically is to provide subsidies to help them pay their rent. Again, you're kind of protected, right? You are in that cushion that either the tenant pays you or the government pays you for your rent. Again, that's one of the massive benefits you get from buying and holding properties. Let's say now you haven't got money, you haven't got £25,000 to buy a house. You want to protect yourself from inflation. You could do a strategy we call rent to rent. Rent to rent is a process by which an investor will rent a property from a struggling landlord or from a landlord basically who is looking to actually make that property passive income for them. You can take that property on a guaranteed rent basis, and then you rent that property room by room basis. Again, you can make anywhere from £400 to about £700 per calendar month, depending on the size of the property. So again, that's another way you could make money to literally protect you or to overcome inflation, because if you've got that additional income coming in and if you love what you're doing and you're working, you could also make money that way as well to help you overcome inflation. Again, if you're looking to buy properties right now, the places I would suggest you to actually look at is the north of England. Places like Hull could be a nice place for you. I wouldn't advise you to go right deep inside Hull. Look at the smaller towns surrounding Hull and then try to buy properties from there, because the cash flow is absolutely amazing, and obviously capital appreciation also work as well. Leeds can be a very nice place as well. Again, surrounding the cities, look for the towns around this area. We've got Newcastle, we have Chester, we have Durham, we also have Lincoln, and Lancaster is a very, very good place to invest. There are some towns that are like Morecambe, etc., etc. These towns, if you invest in these towns, you can get massive return on your investment. And again, if you don't like the north of England, you could also look at South Wales, for example. South Wales is a massive place also. Capital appreciation is amazing. And then obviously we have great capital appreciation as well. You can invest in places like Port Talbot. We have Newport, very close to Cardiff. We have Swansea. We have Mountain Ash, Aberdare, and Merthyr Tydfil. There's so many towns and cities around Cardiff that you could invest in that can give you massive return on your investment. Again, if you're doing rent to rent, you can do it in Cardiff, Birmingham, Liverpool, Leeds, Newcastle, so many cities that you could use for your rent strategy as well. And again, let's say you haven't got 5,000 or 6,000 pounds, you could invest in a real estate investment trust. It's called REITs. Basically, they are companies that own a massive portfolio of usually commercial properties. So they put it on the stock market, and then you can buy a portion of it. And again, that way you'll be able to protect yourself from inflation, because obviously they will be paying you dividend for your dividend or interest in your investment. Again, it's not massive return on your investment, but still you'll be making money out of that. But personally, I would suggest to you, if you haven't got 25,000 or 30,000 pounds to invest in properties, I suggest you start with rent to rent, because that's what I started with. I started with zero to building a multi-million pound property investment portfolio by using the rent to rent strategy. Right, I use that rent to rent strategy, get myself few rent to rent, move on to rent to service accommodation, and obviously I use that proceed to be able to start buying myself properties. So again, I saw that as a better return on my investment than investing in REITs, because obviously REITs, you have to wait for the market to mature for you to be able to make a bit of investment, and obviously the return on investment is not as massive as if you went on and acquire a rent to rent property deal. If you think properties is not your thing, you could try gold. Gold, again, most people think gold is a security to actually cover you during inflations, because gold tend to appreciate in value, and then obviously it get valued for the long term. The only thing I would ask you to worry about if you're buying physical gold, right, it may incur your cost of storage. Basically, you have to pay to store the gold. If you kept it at home, you need to make sure it is basically in a safe and it's locked, and you kept that key, because obviously you don't want your children to come around, mess around with it, and then obviously they destroy it for you. And again, with gold, it doesn't make you the passive income, because for me, passive income is what gets me the little icing on the cake, not just the capital appreciation, because obviously if you get that passive income, it helps you maintain your lifestyle. It helps you, actually gets you to go where you want to go and do what you want to do at the time and place you want to do it. So again, with gold, unless you sell it, you're not really going to make money out of it, or unless you put it for as a security, you won't be able to make money out of it. So again, that's the only downside when it comes to gold. But with properties, basically you've had it, you'll get the assets, you still get your rent, and then obviously you still get the capital appreciation. And again, if you don't really want to get involved in actually investing in properties, or basically investing in gold or the REIT, you could actually form a joint venture partnership where you would be the person who bring in the money. Right, you bring in the money, right, and then get the person to do the work for you, right, and then you go into 50-50 partnership. Or if you got the skills and experience, you haven't got the money, get someone who's got the money to work with you. You then put on all the hard work, everything in it, to get that return on investment. Again, you might go into 50-50 partnership, or however way you want to go into partnership with them, but make sure, vitally important, you know the people that you're joint venturing with, and there's a fair playing ground for everybody involved. But if you don't like that, also to protect you, to overcome inflation, you could borrow people money. If you have money, you're not using it, right, and the bank is paying you peanuts on interest, you can lend someone, right? You can lend someone that money, agree onto a fixed return on your investment, or maybe interest if you want to charge interest, and then charge them that interest. It makes you residual income as well. And again, you don't have to have 20,000 pounds to actually do this. Even if you got 2,000 pounds, 3,000, 5,000 pounds, someone who's doing a rent to rent strategy could approach you, could say, listen, if you got 5,000 pounds, lend me this 5,000 pounds. I'll pay an interest of 10 to 15%. Right? If you lend that money, you make 10 to 15% interest on that money, and it's way, way, way more than what the bank would have paid you for your 5,000 pounds, especially taking inflation into consideration right now. So the best thing to do basically is get someone, lend them the money for a return on investment or for interest. If I were you, I will lend the money based on return on investment. They will present the deal to you. If they're making 500 or 600 pounds, go into partnership. So, okay, how about if I invest that money with you, right? Instead of paying me interest, can I have maybe 5 or 10% share of profit, right? For a certain number of time or for a certain number of months or years. Again, that gets your money work a lot harder for you. Or again, if you don't want to get involved, you don't want to know whether it makes profit or not, you want your interest. So again, you can charge them interest for lending that money. Again, these are the ways you could actually overcome inflation. And inflation is coming. It's coming hard and fast. This is the time to protect yourself, protect your family, and protect the people around you to ensure you are not in deep waters and then struggle to make ends meet. So again, this is what you need to do. If you've been thinking about this, if you've been procrastinating about this, I've been banging about this, about the last 2 or 3 years I've been talking about this, you go out there, invest, because when you invest for passive income, you've automatically protect yourself from inflation. You automatically overcome inflation. If you're procrastinating about it, thinking about it, saying I'm doing it tomorrow, next year, and you've lost 5 years, now it's about time to actually think about it, not just think about it, take action and execute. Once you've executed, you don't have to know everything. You don't have to know every single thing in properties for you to start. It's like when you're driving, you don't start your driving after you see all the lights gone green. So no. So what you do, you get onto the bus or you get onto your car, you start driving. When you hit a red light, you wait for amber. Once it's go green, you move, you get to the other light. You do exactly the same thing. You don't want to wait until all the lights are green to set up, because if you do, you're not going to go anywhere. You're not going to go anywhere. You're not going to move anywhere. So procrastinating about it. Invest in yourself. Invest for your future. Invest in property that will take you and your family to the next level. And again, if this video has been helpful, don't forget to hit the like button below. Subscribe to my YouTube channel for more of this amazing tutorial. I look forward to sharing next video. Thank you for listening.